Hello everyone, welcome to Sunless Skies. I'm a little late to the party on this particular game, I'm well aware, but I recently finished a run on my console version of this game, and what with Failbetter's next game coming out, Mask of the Rose, pretty soon, I figured, I should record a playthrough on the PC version, and then upload it to YouTube. For those of you who don't know, Sunless Skies is the sequel to Sunless Seas, which both games are mostly a text adventure game with some vehicular exploration and combat mixed in. I do highly recommend you play Sunless Seas, but that game can be punishingly difficult. Sunless Skies is a little bit more accessible, I think. Not quite as punishingly difficult, but it can still be pretty hard if you don't know what you're doing. Sorry, my cat just ran by. So, yeah. Funny story about this game. I just spent the last hour tweaking my Steam controller settings for this game, because I did try to play it a little bit with keyboard and mouse, and I am completely god-awful at keyboard and mouse. So I spent the last hour tweaking it, trying to get it just right, and then I realized you could just, come right over here and just click on Use Gamepad, and there you go. So that's fun. Anyway, we're going to be starting a new game. And I am going to be playing on Merciful campaign, not Legacy, because, during my console playthrough, I lost a couple of captains to some things that just weren't quite right. Like, look, if I die in this game due to my own mistakes, I mean, that's fine. That's not going to hurt my feelings too terribly much. But there were some times in the console version where I was in combat and, I would take out an enemy and the AI for the whatever faction I was allied with at the time would continue shooting, and they killed me with friendly fire, which it just wasn't great. That's why we're gonna go with Merciful. So, like I said, if I die to my own mistakes, fine, but I don't want to die to idiotic AI in this game. Yeah, we're just gonna keep everything standard here, and we'll talk about the character I'm gonna be trying to create and all that when we actually get to the character creation. We do have a little bit of a tutorial to play through first. Hello, Spicy Ranch. Log of Her Majesty's Locomotive the Orphean, March 14th, 1905. Our expedition to the domains of the dead has been eventful. The Orphean is damaged and in grievous need of repairs and supplies. We are returning in haste to the Reach, where I hope to make port at New Winchester. May God be with us, for 1,000 deaths wait in the sky. Final entry of Captain Amelia Charity Whitlock, DCM, written shortly before her death. She's not wrong about thousands of deaths waiting in the skies. Oh, that's such a cool sound effect. Alright, here we go. Trains in space. And actually, before I get going, one thing I've never actually done is this. So I'm going to do this real quick. The Blue Kingdom Transit Relay. This is the transit relay to and from the Blue Kingdom, a distant region of heaven still ruled by a sun. Few travel here. It is unwelcoming and uncanny. Thanks to the lack of traffic, many London officials consider this a cushy post. Those stationed here are in good favor with the department. Recall your recent arrival through the relay and the frantic flight that preceded it. Sure. The Orphean recently arrived through the relay in a state of distress, having had to flee the Blue Kingdom. Whatever it was the captain did there, it incensed the local authorities. They pursued you to the relay and tried to close it while you were mid-passage. Oof. You barely made it out. What's more, the attempt to close the relay has damaged it. No travel will be possible in either direction until it is repaired. It will take some time for the relay to be repaired. Alright, so what some of this means, specifically the bit about being ruled by a sun. From what I remember of my playthrough of Sunless Skies and my recent playthrough of this game, Sunless Skies, and also Sunless Seas, they made allusions to the fact that essentially the suns of the area, like, our sun in our solar system, in the universe of these games, they're essentially gods, and wherever their light shines on, essentially, they make the rules of reality wherever their light shines. And London created their own clockwork sun, which is a big part of this game, although I didn't go down the route that would allow me to uncover most of the hidden lore of this game. I did the fame route just to get a feel for the game when I played it on console. But there's a whole plot line about discovering the truth, which, well, we'll get to that. You have returned to the Reach, an untamed, sunless span of the heavens, London's new frontier, a celestial garden run wild. Now, another cool thing about playing this on PC instead of the console is that I'm actually sitting close to the screen. Hang on. Your journey back from the Blue Kingdom was tumultuous. Your locomotive is damaged and Captain Whitlock badly wounded. Anyway, as I was saying, I can actually sit close and see the small details now. So that's pretty nifty. As first officer, the crew looks to you. The nearest station is New Winchester. Can you get the Orphean there safely? I'm used to PlayStation controls and they're displaying Xbox controls, so that's going to be fun. Much to the relief of your stokers, you find a barrel of fuel among the detritus. A wreck drifts here, less fortunate even than you. We should scavenge her for repairs, a crewman suggests. The wreck of the Ozymandias. The wreck hangs in the sky, pocked with recent gunfire. You and the boarding party don your sky suits, garments of waxed canvas lined with felt to protect against the cold of the sky. Two of the crew are whispering as they dress. What business did Captain Whitlock have in the Blue Kingdom anyway? Why the devil did we trespass in the districts of the dead? You silence him. Now is not the time. Leap across to the wreck. The gap between the two engines isn't wide, but the endless fathoms of heaven gape beneath it. You jump. Your stomach lurches with vertigo as the stars blaze above you and below. The air of the heavens is thin and torn by unpredictable winds. Then your boots hit the running board of the Ozymandias, and your leather-gloved hands fumble for a hold. One of your companions throws you a line and you lash the two engines together. Only then do the rest of the boarding party follow you. One of them forces open the exterior hatch and you clamber inside. Her interior is cold, unlit, and whistles with wind. Your party's lamps spread buttery light over the narrow paneled passages. You make your way towards the hold, stepping over bodies crumpled in the corridor. Unfortunately, your way is blocked. A bulkhead has been mangled inward by a well-aimed barrage. Alright, so this is where we get to skill checks. Never mind, it explains them right here. Clear the obstruction away. You locate a length of pipe to use as a pry bar and set to work. This will test your iron skill. Iron is the skill of confronting and overcoming, or lead your party on a more precarious path. Go back out onto the Ozymandias' hull, climb past the blockage, and enter through a window on the far side. And do so carefully. Veils is the skill of deceiving and evading. And we're going to go with iron. As you strain against the stubborn steel, you remember an event from a year ago. A boiler explosion had trapped an engineer under a tangle of plating and pipework. The captain was first on the scene. You were second. Together you managed to pry the wreckage upward enough for you to crawl beneath it while the captain braced the bar across her back. By all means, take your time, she grunted as you dragged the engineer out. Back in the present, the twisted bulkhead yields. Your companions clear the exposed rubble away. The way is clear. You've reached the Ozymandias' hold, a ruin of smashed cargo and spilled supplies. Hopefully, somewhere in the amidst the detritus, you can find parts to repair the Orpheum and restock your stores. Conduct a thorough search. Your companions work quickly. The Ozymandias' hull has begun to creak. Your actions on board may have compromised its integrity. Renewed, you find enough food and gear to restock your supplies, and enough spare parts to make the necessary repairs to the Orpheum. The food will need to be thoroughly thawed, of course, but you've eaten worse in the skies. "Oh ho!" cries one of your party, prying the lid off a long crate. It holds a cannon, still nestled in straw. Cats. Another crewman pulls a battered bird cage from a pile of ruined cargo. Within the cage, something winged and furred opens a sullen eye. You examine your finds. The Ozymandias emits a long, juddering creak. Your boarding party exchange nervous glances. From the chaos of its holds, you have retrieved repairs and supplies, and discovered some useful equipment, a gun that could be mounted on your locomotive, and an educated bat. Oh boy. Liberate a diffident bat and employ it as a scout. The heavens are wide, so locomotives use scouts like bats to locate things of interest, ports, resources, wrecks like this one to scavenge. You can claim both this and the cannon, yeah. The bat treats its rescue as an inconvenience, and immediately begins haggling over pay. You offer to put it back in its damn cage and leave it on the Ozymandias, at which point it becomes more polite. You doubt it will last. You now have 1 times diffident bat. Mount the Jerusalem cannon on the Orpheum. Her own weapons were damaged during your flight from the Blue Kingdom. That leaves you vulnerable. The Cotterell and Heather Sage Jerusalem fires single shells to a good range, more or less accurately. You order 2 of your party to get it back to your vessel and fit it immediately. The Ozymandias groans again. The structure shudders spasmodically. That's a new word. Yeah, fuck it. Press on to the engine room. You might find more fuel there, but you had better hurry. The Ozymandias is beginning to tear apart. This is not without risk. The wreck of the Ozymandias screeches as its metal buckles and tears. You press on through the shuddering corridors, searching frantically for the engine room. Send a smaller party ahead to retrieve fuel. It's foolish for all of you to go. Send your quickest and lightest to retrieve fuel, while the rest of you return to the Orpheum. Hearts is the skill of convincing and enduring. Go yourself and conduct a hasty search. Send the rest of the boarding party back to the Ozymandias. Go on alone. Mirrors is the skill of investigating and deducing. Well, I'm going to be going for hearts when I build a character, but not risking my crew is more in line with the character I'm planning to build in my head, so we're going to do this. Oh, fuck. Okay, so you notice how it says gives you a 50% chance of success. That's governed by essentially your level. The number. English. I can do it. I fucking swear. It's governed by your level of, your levels in that particular skill category. You'll see what I mean when we get to character creation. Flight. The engine room is gray with spilled ash and littered with corpses. Little has survived the Ozymandias' ruin. You search fruitlessly for coal, but linger too long. As the wreck is racked with final violent tremors, you race back to the Orpheum. With a dying groan, the Ozymandias splits in 2, sending shards of splintered plating spinning into the sky. Several of them bite into the Orpheum, mauling its hull. Stoking your engines, you steam away from the collapsing wreck. You are restocked at least, and rearmed. You've lost 10 hull. Awesome. Yep, press right to send out your scout. Alright, is it that? Yeah, that button. Yep. Alright, you can see there, that highlighted bit, that's where we're going. That's going to be New Winchester. Oh, shit. Summoned by Captain Whitlock. The walls of the captain's cabin are lined with a hodgepodge of curios from across the sky. Captain Whitlock lies in bed. Black marks cover her skin like a monstrous brand. When she coughs, coils of... I don't know if that's pronounced acrid or acrid. I'm going to go with acrid. Coils of acrid smoke pour from her lungs. Inquire after the captain's injuries. The locomotive's doctor attends to her. His lips are tight. Yeah, let's talk to him. See what's up. A word of living fire pursued the Orphean across the Blue Kingdom. It caught you just before you passed through the transit relay to the Reach, and set its brand upon the captain. It's burned itself right through her, the doctor whispers. When I closed the worst of her wounds, I could see the signs seared into her bones and organs. Judging from her symptoms, it's on the inside of her lungs, too. The captain leans to one side and vomits a plume of fire into a copper bowl. There's nothing the doctor can do. Approach the bedside. The captain opens her eyes as you draw near. She attempts to smile. Her mouth is blistered from the blue fires that dance on her tongue. Her hand grips your arm. Her skin is hot as a kettle. Made arrangements. The Orphean will be yours. Her voice is just a rasp of burned meat breath. But promise! She breaks off to scream a word in a language that is not made for human mouths. When she resumes speaking English, she is weaker, her last request little more than a gasp. Promise me one last service. Promise! Yep, promise you will obey her last command. Whatever it is, you'll see it done. She sinks back, relieved. All in my will, she gasps. Be a better... She breaks off as the sigils burned into her bones flare, glowing cherry red through her flesh and skin. Better captain than I. The effort exhausts her. She sinks back into the scorched pillows and a twisting, frantic fever. Yikes. Take your leave. You have an engine to command. Other business. You leave the cabin and the scorched stink of its air behind and return to the bridge. New Winchester is further than you'd like, and the captain hasn't long left. Alright, anyway, your bat... You bribe your bat with moths until it tells you when it's discovered. Yeah, that's pretty par for the course. Oh, an enemy. How fun. Oh, radial menu. Yep. So this is... Yes, essentially it's the radial menu. Good stuff. Whoop. Whoop. Alright, you see that bar down there at the bottom is the heat meter, which is, heated up by firing the guns, using the side thrusters to dodge around and stuff. You gotta keep an eye on that. If you completely overheat, it doesn't stop you from firing your guns, but it will damage you if you fire your guns while overheated. It does stop you from using your dodge thrusters, though. The Reach Marauder is defeated. You prepare to board the buckled wreckage, poised to plunder the plunderers. Behind you, someone is humming a song of victory. Damn right. Let's raid the remains. Marauders pillage homesteads and hunt travelers all across the Reach. They often carry stolen valuables. Ill-got gains. Your boarding party returns with wallets and watches, cufflinks, lockets, and keepsakes. You store them in the safe to be pawned if you make it back to port. We gained 42 sovereigns. Sovereigns being the currency of this game. Alright, where are we going? This way. Ooh, a cantankery. That's a pissed-off space whale. Hello, Poppet. I would feel bad about that, but it would have attacked me when I got close anyway. A cantankery, placated. The cantankery are lumbering, half-fossilized isopods that will attack anything they disapprove of. Given that they are very ancient and murderously grumpy, that means almost everything. The defeated cantankery is blasted to smithereens. Only a cloud of stony chunks remains. Disperse the rubble. The fragments could be a menace to passing engines. Clear it out of the way as a service to other skyfarers, or sift through the pulverized rubble. Perhaps you'll find something of scientific interests. Look for an uncanny specimen with only a 24% chance? Nah. Do the safe thing, lose terror. One good deed. You gently shunt the larger pieces away. The crew are heartened to be doing something for the general good. Alright, here we go. Here's our hub port in the first area of the game. New Winchester. Arrival at New Winchester. You coast into the bustle, the din, the soot, and the steam of Wolvesey Station. It is clogged with other engines, scrappy mining locomotives from Lustrum Way, weathered explorers gleaming with frost, sleek company vessels with bright brass fittings. No sooner have you pulled into the sidings than a brusque station master bustles over. He requests to come aboard. "I must speak with your captain," he insists, brandishing a ledger. "The usual formalities." Look to the Orphean's doctor. He has just appeared at your shoulder. His face is solemn, his hat in his hands. He lowers his eyes. The passing. The crew exchange bleak, wordless looks. The Orphean itself feels suddenly more empty. The station master looks confused. You inform him that unfortunately Captain Whitlock has just passed away. "Ah," he says, neutrally. "Sorry to hear that. Very sad, very sad." He waits for what he considers an appropriate minute and a half before continuing. "Alas, even amidst tragedy, the cogs of bureaucracy must turn. If Captain Whitlock is deceased, the station authority require the answers from the first officer." He dons a set of spectacles and locates his pin. "It will be relatively painless: name, background, purpose of visit, etc. So, shall we begin?" We shall. And now we get to character creation. Create your captain. Today, London lies between the stars. Her new empire unfolds across the heavens. But 10 years ago, before the Northern Gate was opened... That is a reference to Sunless Sea, I remember that. Before the Northern Gate was opened, before her renewed empress led her people to the skies, it lay in a vast cavern beneath the earth. Deep, dark, marvelous. Who were you then? Alright, so each of these different backgrounds gives you a stat boost, as you can see, like with street urchins. You will begin with high veils, the skills of evading, but it also gives you like certain exclusive choices you can make during various story events, depending on which of these backgrounds and other facets you take as you level up. So, when I played through this game on consoles, I played as Captain Howard P. Lovecraft, captain of the Explorator science vessel Illuminatrix. He was an academic with high mirrors and veils. So the ship I wound up with was pretty good, but it was mostly, like I said, for science and exploring. And it was alright, but it did okay. It could hold its own in a fight well enough, but I'm sure there were some like end game optional bosses that I wouldn't have been able to take on. So this time, I'm gonna say screw all that nerd shit. I'm going for high iron and hearts this time, so I'm gonna start off as a soldier. Ah, yes, you were a soldier. You served in Her Majesty's military, but how exactly? Alright, so when you pick a background, you also get 3 little sub-choices that affect your affiliation and your secondary skill. So I said I was going for hearts, so I was going to go in the Royal Horse Guards. You served in the Blues, conducting labyrinthine ceremonial duties and defending Her Majesty's person. Increase your hearts, the skill of convincing and enduring, and affiliates you with Bohemia, which is essentially like the stuffy nobles. Alright, choose an ambition. So I told you last time I went wealth, because that was kind of agreed to be like the easiest thing, just amass money and other necessary items to buy yourself a freaking nice house in London or wherever the hell you wanted to settle. This time, I'm gonna go for the truth. Even the stars have secrets, but they won't keep them from you. A message from an old friend begins an unwise quest to learn the secret that the stars hide. What drives you? Curiosity? Justice? Insolence? Whatever it is, it will be tested. Be warned, this is a demanding ambition best played by a lineage that has already completed wealth or fame. Whatever. Alright, so now we create the actual captain. So while I dick around with this, I'll tell you guys kind of about what I was thinking I was gonna do. So, I was thinking about role-playing through this as Captain Honor Harrington from David Weber's Honor Harrington book series, which is incredible. If you haven't read it, you 100% absolutely should. It's one of, if not the greatest, like, long-running science fiction series out there, and I think it's still going to this day. I think there were 3 novels I hadn't read when I stopped reading them because I was broke and I couldn't get any books. But yeah, just absolutely astounding science fiction. Like, real focus on the science. If you don't like a lot of science in your science fiction, then it may not be for you, but if you do like me, mwah, chef's kiss to you, David Weber. Anyway, I decided not to do that because, I don't think I could do the character of Honor Harrington justice. But I still wanted to go with, like, kind of the military hardened veteran kind of background for this game. So, I'm working on making, like, an Honor Harrington adjacent kind of character, which starts with me stealing the names of 2 other characters from that same book series, so that's going to be fun. Anyway, the background of the character I'm playing. Hello, Spicy Ranch. Did you feel the need to include yourself in this conversation? No? Okay. Alright, I'll see you later then. You might have noticed that this game takes place in and around London, so everyone and their mums, I'm going to be giving them a English accent. So for the main character, I was actually thinking I was going to do an American accent. Because, I'm American and I want to do that. So the backstory I've written for this character is that they were born in America to parents that had come over from England. And then they moved back to London when they were probably like 12, 13 or something, just in time for London to get stolen by bats and put in the underground cavern, which, yes, that is the canon explanation. London was, in fact, stolen by bats. Just, God, the writings of these games are awesome. So, he was there when London fell, and not really knowing what else to do, he decided to join the military, where he absolutely excelled because no one can sling lead like an American can. And he took part in the campaign of 68, I think it was, in Sunless Skies, where fallen London literally declared war on hell itself. If I remember correctly, they lost. But, you know, when offered the chance to shoot demons, what self-respecting American would not take him up on that? So, our character joined the military, and despite losing in the war, he still excelled in military service, which saw him rise up through the ranks. And then, for reasons we'll get into a bit later, I think, they left the military. So the way leveling up works in this game is that every time you gain a level, you take what's called a new facet, which increases one of your skills by 5, another by 3, and usually comes with kind of another, like, auxiliary reward. But also, it helps to flesh out your character's background. So, as we go on, and more facets are revealed about the character, I'll fill you in on who this guy is. So, speaking of, who is this guy, and what is he going to be referred to as? Well, he's going to be Captain, because Captain is what he is now. And his name is... You gonna let me type? I would like... Oh, right. I was looking for the little PS4 pop-up keyboard. So his name is Alastair Tourville, named after Alastair McKeon and Lester Tourville from David Weber's Honor Harrington series. And I think everything here looks good. We're going to hit enter. And... I don't know. Son of a bitch. You really gonna... Ugh. Alright. Well, I don't know if he looks shaggy enough, because Alastair, he's a little bit down on his luck. Is there a more scraggly hairstyle we can have? No? Alright, yeah, we're just gonna go with the long slick back. There we go. Alright, we're good. We're good. We're good. All good here. Yep. Continue. Give this a look over. I was a soldier in the royal house. I'm after the truth. There's my name. There's my stats down there in the lower right side. High on iron and hearts. I think we look good. The reading of the will. 3 weeks have passed. This morning, Captain Whitlock received a simple memorial service. Her body was consigned to a necropolis train bound for the Serene Mausoleum. That's a place in Albion. We'll be going there. Now you sit with a handful of her relatives in the threadbare offices of her solicitors. A methodical notary is reading the will. The captain was wealthy once, but squandered her capital on mysterious expenses before her expedition to the Blue Kingdom. Listen to the end. The captain's relatives, from whom she was mostly estranged, are clearly wondering why you're here. In a final codicil, the notary announces, Captain Whitlock confirmed that possession of the Orphean was to pass to its first officer. He peers at you with dry gray eyes. This includes a certain black box contained in the Orphean's hold. Captain Whitlock's final request was that, at a time of your choosing, you transport said box to an address in London. He hands you an address card. And deposit it here. You are not to look inside. She gave no explanation. And that's it. You're captain now. The Orphean is yours. Captain Whitlock's legacy. You can investigate the black box at New Winchester. You can take the box to London as requested, or you could sell it and be done. You have been bequeathed a large black box which once belonged to Captain Whitlock, and I've gained 100 sovereigns for a total of 142. Lovely. Alright, so this is where a good portion of the game takes place, and these kind of menus right here, listing out things you can do. Explore the city, recruit the Incautious driver, which is the first thing we're going to do because that will introduce us to our officer. Recruit the Incautious driver. I specialize in test driving, but I'm looking for something quieter. The driver indicates a crashed engine still smoking. Yeah, like that. Without the screaming. Officers require a sign-on fee. Allow the driver to join your crew. What harm could it do? This will get you a chief engineer who will increase your iron by 6, your hearts by 2, and your affiliation establishment by 1. So that's how officers affect the gameplay, is usually by giving you particular stat boosts. They don't really, change the way your engine behaves in any way that, I've ever noticed. They're mostly just there for stat increases, and they all have their own particular quests tied to their backgrounds and their goals. It's really cool. Yeah, we're going to get the driver. Brave or fearless? The driver boards, eager to get started. I recently parted ways with the Windward Company, they explained. Personally, I think a crash a week isn't so bad. They disagreed. Oh well, live and learn. You have recruited the Incautious driver and lost 20 sovereigns. Alright, so here I just opened up our engine menu, which we don't have a whole hell of a lot, but this is our engine itself. You can see it's got various slots for things that we'll purchase later when we actually have money. And there's our possessions. So certain items like the black box itself do not actually take up hold or add weight to your engine. But like down here with our fuel and supplies, you can see we've got 6 out of 12. Don't exactly have a whole lot of hold space at the moment. We're going to work on changing that later. But as you add more things to your hold, it will affect your hold space, obviously, but then right up here next to our diffident bat, you can see that little fuel drop times 1.79. That's our fuel efficiency, so the fact that we're running light means we burn less fuel as we go along. Right. An opportunity, the fastidious inspector. Excuse me. Yes? Excuse me, Captain. A woman pushes through the crowd towards you. She is short and square-shouldered in a neat black suit and polished shoes. She shows you the case of her pocket watch. It is emblazoned with the crown and hourglass of London's horological office, the body responsible for ensuring time is consistent across the empire. You'd think that wouldn't be an issue. It is. I'm hoping to book passage to Port Prosper, she says, slipping the watch away. I can pay, of course. Said the magic words. Offer her passage. Pay sounds promising. Thank you. The locomotive I was on broke down following a boiler rupture. Chief engineer's fault, I suspect. A gentleman fonder of brandy than of diligence. Here, an initial sum to seal our bargain. Port Prosper lies to the northwest of New Winchester. Not that there is such a thing as north, south, east, or indeed west out here. Instead, London cartographers picked 4 of the brighter, more reliable stars visible from the Empress's new palace and named them north, east, south, and west, respectively. Londoners value familiarity. The fastidious inspectors aboard. I gain 50 sovereigns. Alright, so she also, weirdly enough, technically, is a possession. Does not take up hold space. Alright, so it should be pretty obvious, but in a top-down game like this, north is to the top of your screen, south is to the bottom, east is the right, west is the left. That's still roughly the same where you would expect it to be. Alright, sure, let's investigate the black box. Captain Whitlock left it to you in the hold of the Orphean. Her will described it only as a black box, a description you consider to be an unhelpful understatement. It is a casket of black basalt, longer than you are tall, unadorned, with a single small recess that contains a keyhole. The thing must weigh most of a ton. It stands upright in the corner of your hold, where the crew have pushed it out of the way. I guess we'll consider what to do with it. Captain Whitlock had a specific request. Whether you obey it is up to you. Decisions. The last request of Captain Amelia Whitlock was for the box to be transported to a specific address in London. Alternatively, you could perhaps find someone willing to purchase it as a curiosity, and if you knew what was inside, you might be able to command a higher price. Try to remember when Captain Whitlock acquired the box. It was the subject of speculation among the crew. Captain Whitlock had brought it on board just before your ill-fated expedition to the Blue Kingdom. It was empty then, you know, because you saw the lid and the box carried on board separately and assembled in the hold. It's not empty now. It is sealed and even heavier than before. Before you left for the Blue Kingdom, shortly after the box was delivered and made no stops on the way. So, whatever is inside the box now, Captain Whitlock found it in the Blue Kingdom. Sure, let's examine the box. It has the dimensions of a sarcophagus plundered from a tomb of some forgotten prince of Egypt. Good movie. There are no carvings or inscriptions on it. The join where the lid meets the body is too thin to admit even a knife blade. There are no holes by which light or air might find their way in. It is impossible to see inside without opening it. Even the keyhole has been engineered in such a way as to prevent peeking. The recess with the keyhole, though, as far as you can determine, that is a more recent addition to the box. The stone has been drilled and chiseled away to create space for a modern metal lock. Alright, yeah, we're not gonna sell the box. No, we promised Captain Whitlock we're gonna do the thing, and we're gonna do the thing. Alright. I don't want to start on our ambition yet. Alright, so here's my goals for this particular playthrough. Obviously, we're gonna get to the ambition, because that's how we beat the game. But first and foremost, what we're going to do is we're going to get ourselves a good, proper warship worthy of the name. That's like goal number one, because going to the other areas like Albion and the Blue Kingdom, you got to have an upgraded ship for that, or else you're going to be in for a bad time. I learned that the hard way with my first few attempts on console, so getting a warship is number one, and to get a warship, we need to get money. And to get money, we got to upgrade our current engine a little bit, to at least allow it to carry more cargo, because cargo is the most reliable, if not the fastest way to make money. We will be picking up quests here and there along the way, because quests also afford money. I kind of know where I want to start, it's just a matter of finding the places. The cats are losing their damn minds. But, alright. Explore the city. The smoggy, clanking, singing, stamping, thronging, frantic heat, heart of the Reach. An ever-expanding port of soot-smudged glass and bright steel spilling across a drifting, mist-wrapped archipelago. Its factories thunder, its engine sheds ring with hammers and hiss with steam. Locomotives chug into sidings for repairs or flare across the sky and away into the high wilderness. An opportunity, learn about trading. I mean, I know about trading, but you guys might not. So we're going to do that first. Successful skyfarers fund their expeditions by dabbling in trade. Inquire whether there are any good trading opportunities available. On the pedal trail. A porter at the station advises you to visit the nearby pub, the Promise of Days, and talk to the seasoned captains there. They keep their ears to the ground. They'll know an opportunity or two. Visit the Promise of Days. Visiting the Promise of Days is one of the options when exploring the city. Yes, it is. Which is where we're going to go. Visit the Promise of Days, a club where seasoned captains gather to trade stories and share advice with young skyfarers. Old pistons gleam on the wall. The shelves are crowded with mementos from across the skies. The clientele raise their voices to be heard above the comforting clamor of the adjacent engine yards. God, it's gotta be a loud pub. Also, now that I can actually see that portrait over there on the left up close, I just noticed that rat has an eye patch. That's freaking awesome. Introduce yourself to the seasoned captains. They're always happy to offer words of advice, sometimes many words. 4 are gathered at their usual table. The masked citizen, a libertine, polymath, and pioneer of the neo-nocturnal artistic school. The bedeviled didact, a scholar haunted by his discoveries. The plucky baroness, explorer, collector, philatelist? Sure. And spatchcocker Meg, who hunts monsters. I like her already. Of course, everything out here is jolly dangerous, says the Baroness. Few risk the skies, so news of distant ports is valuable. Collect port reports from the places you visit and deliver them to Victory Hall or the Company House. The more you turn in at once, the more they'll pay. Look for opportunities on the way, advises the masked citizen. Passengers who want transport, rich men who in need of bloody work, etc. Ask them how to make your fortune through trade. Between them, they've carried Neveritine gemstones from Eleutheria, souls to the Blue Kingdom, and raw hours to London. Have they tips? Learn about trade and how to find bargains and prospects. Ah, the didact says, fiddling with his innumerable talisman. An essential topic. Meg slides you a stool, and the captains shuffle around to make room. The masked citizen buys you a drink of their own invention. It is violet and foggy. The plucky baroness gives you a brisk, encouraging grin. Ask away. Ask about markets. How can you buy and sell goods? You can sell practically anything at the big trade hub like New Winchester, the baroness answers. If you want to buy, though, you'll have to travel to more distant ports. Each specializes in a particular export. Meg spits chewing tobacco onto the floor. No money in buying at market prices and selling at 'em too, though. You want to look for bargains or prospects of people offering better money. Buy cheap, sell dear. You can sell, not buy, any trade good at a major port. Lesser ports each sell a single good. You can see what a port exports by selecting it on your chart. Ask about prospects. Where might you learn of these prospects? The masked citizen sips their drink. The biggest port in each region has a bazaar where captains do business. There you'll learn of people at other ports prepared to pay over the odds for a commodity. When you accept the commission for a prospect, it's yours. No other captain will pursue it. It's all fantastically civilized. Their smile is droll. You'll have to source the goods yourself, of course, says the bedeviled didact. Find a port that exports them. The client will want a certain amount. You can supply them all, or some, or all of it. But if you provide all they need, they may furnish you with an additional reward. Accept prospects at the bazaar at major ports. You can accept up to 4 at once. You may review and abandon them on the locomotive screen. A trading opportunity. Ask them if they know of a good prospect available. In point of fact, I do, says the masked citizen, tapping an elegant finger on their elegant glass. An opportunity. The host of Magdalene's needs an urgent delivery of seeds, paying a pretty penny, too. If I were you, I'd get to the bazaar straight away, put my mark against it. Meg grunts. Broker in Port Avon is selling cheap seeds. Chirpy chap, God knows why, his face looks like it's been pushed through a mangle. An opportunity. Port Avon lies to the north of New Winchester, and Magdalene lies to the west of New Winchester. Accept the prospect at the bazaar. If you haven't already, then buy the seeds from the bazaar at Port Avon and sell them at Magdalene's. Wonderful. I already did that. Yep. Bid them goodbye. Let's get on with this shit. Is there anything else we want to do in London while we are here? Does not look like it. Alright, well, we got the base established. Let's go to the bazaar, grab the seeds. Magdalene's provides comfort and sympathy to the weary skyfarer. Its host will tell you any lie you need to hear. Some of those lives require flowers. The amenable host wants up to 3 sacks of verdant seeds and will pay 80 sovereigns for each. Magdalene lies to the west. And the other one, munitions. Alright, I know for a fact they don't sell munitions in the Reach, so I'm not going to bother with that one because I don't want to just hope that I randomly stumble across them at a bazaar at a different port. Alright, we don't have any money to really buy anything here. The Victoria Market, that's where you sell general things. And the engine yard here is where you're going to buy new engines. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to work the trade routes for a while here in the Reach, enough to buy myself the Pelennor class trader, because that'll get me a little bit more armor, some more auxiliary slots, which means I can install some upgrades to the cargo hold so I can make even more money off of trading. And if you'll notice here, all these go for various different prices. But what they don't tell you is that whatever you pay for a new engine, because eventually we're going to sell the trader to hopefully get our warship. So being that you can trade it in, it'll deduct the cost of the trader, which is $3,500 it looks like, from the total of the warship, which I think the warship I want goes for about 10,000. So by the time I make it to Albion, if I have at least somewhere between 7,000 and 9,000 in the bank, I should be able to get the warship freshly on arriving in Albion. So that's what we're gonna do. Right. So I think we're gonna call the first episode right here. I'll either record the second one tonight after I take a break, or sometime early tomorrow when I wake up. That'll depend on how I'm feeling after I take a break. But thank you for watching. Like and subscribe. Leave a comment if you want. It's appreciated. And I will see you on the next episode. Goodbye.